Some viewers may find this disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hi my loves, it's Destin Choice and you're watching Choice TV. For today's video I want to get on here and talk about what's going on with Venezuela and the fact that a lot of people are pissed and a lot of people are going off on America right now. So a lot of people are very upset with a lot of Americans because a lot of them have been known to been trying to donate a lot of supplies, because if you didn't know, Venezuela got struck with a 7.5 magnitude earthquake a month and some change ago.
Efforts in Venezuela after two powerful earthquakes shake the region. Officials say more than 1,400 people are dead, more than 3,000 injured, and thousands more still missing. The death toll expected to rise in the coming days. Many Venezuelans say they're angry about their government's response to the disaster and that the rescue teams are not given enough equipment needed to dig people out of the rubble. Since the two strong quakes, there have been more than 400 aftershocks.
How can Americans help out Venezuelans at this time?
Do not send thoughts and prayers. Please send money. That's what we need the most. We need medicine. We need immediate help.
And everything was great until it wasn't. A lot of people sent supplies, but here's the twist. A lot of people weren't very happy with the supplies because people were literally out here sending dirty ass panties, lingerie, ripped socks, and ripped pants. And a lot of people accuse Venezuela of being insanely ungrateful because they got on camera and made it very clear, stop sending us bullshit.
Guys, we're seeing a lot of very dirty old clothes. Can I please ask you that if you're donating, please wash it or just make sure that the clothes are decent. Keep in mind all of this stuff is going to people who have nothing. They need a new wardrobe, and this is just not a very nice way to start it. I say it with the most love. This is an example of some of the stuff that is arriving.
No es que somos exigentes ni malagradecidos, sino que simplemente esto no está apto para enviarlo a Venezuela.
Mal estado, están teniendo muchos pantalones rotos, camisas extremadamente manchadas que no se están pasando. O sea, una persona que acaba de vivir una tragedia no se puede colocar esto, así que por favor tome sus precauciones.
Qué gente tan miserable, ¿cómo van a mandar esa mierda para Venezuela? ¿Ah? ¿No les da pena? ¿Qué más hay ahí? Poco de ropa vieja, no vale, ¿qué te pasa? La gente es demasiado pasada. Sigue con sus cochinadas. ¿Cómo es posible este suceso? ¿Ah? No, de verdad. Mira, todo ese tipo de ropa, eso es ropa vieja desechable, o sea, ya eso ya no sirve. No traigan nada de eso para acá.
Señores, por favor, no traigan tortilla, no traigan queso cottage, esto necesita frío, esto se va a dañar, ya esto no sirve. Por favor, no me traigan esta leche, mira esto. Al meter esto con todo el peso, esto se va a romper.
For those of y'all who don't speak Spanish, old girl basically said, stop giving us shit that can easily expire. Stop giving us shit that's overly processed. We don't eat this kind of stuff. This kind of stuff isn't really good for us. This kind of stuff is disposable. It's not healthy. Don't send stuff like this. Send us stuff we need, like batteries, electronics, and even things like water and medicine. Now, people are dragging Venezuelans to hell and saying they're entitled, they're so used to having their way in their own country. People are it's a lot of conversations. So Venezuela is a socialist, communist type country where basically free this, free that, free education, free healthcare, free this, free that. Oh, everybody's poor? Okay, let's print out some money and give them this, that, and the third. And this turned the country into something so ugly. And it makes me realize that a lot of times, you know, in the States and in many parts of the world, we always talk about how corporate greed is the reason why groceries are so expensive. And that's part of the truth, low-key. I can't even front and lie about that. But let's be real. A lot of these companies cannot lower their prices at this point and at this stage in inflation. But let me give you guys a brief rundown how a lot of this shit hit the fan in Venezuela and why socialism and economy and communism was done really wrong here.
Queuing up in the hope of buying a cheap TV or washing machine in Venezuela's capital, Caracas. President Maduro ordered the chain of Dhaka electronic goods shops to be occupied and forced to sell their products at fair prices. He accuses big business in Venezuela of deliberately hiking up prices in an economic war against him. I've ordered the immediate occupation of this chain, he said, to offer its products to the people at fair prices. Everything. Let nothing remain in stock. This is enough. A washing machine was previously selling at more than 6,000 euros. The monthly minimum income of Venezuelan workers is around 370 euros. There was a mixed response to the government's action. One man said, "In almost all of the stores, the companies are speculating on the prices. It's good that they're carrying out this measure, not only here but throughout the country." But another woman said this is political theatre. They're fooling Venezuelans. As the election approaches, they promise things they can't deliver. I am a mother and one of the Venezuelans who is tired of this, of the lies of this government. Critics say the government's economic mismanagement has led to the current high inflation rates of more than 50%.
Back in 2014, we had President Maduro who was running Venezuela. I mean, as we all know, President Maduro is currently locked up because Trump put a bounty on his ass, and he literally has about 1 year until his trial in America because he's been accused of a lot of heinous crimes such as drug trafficking, cocaine trafficking, and weapons trafficking all across Latin America. But what's interesting is when he first got elected, he got elected after Hugo Chavez, who is known to be a dictator, passed away. And he framed himself as the president for the people.
And that ghost is a terrible ghost. Nobody wants to name him or her. It's capitalism. Capitalism is that ghost.
So Hugo Chavez, we're not going to talk too much about him, but just a brief history. He ran Venezuela in the 90s, and he was president for at least 15 years, and he ran that country into the fucking dirt. And instead of actually trying to get to the root cause, which is trying to create opportunities and create universities and create a population of educated people, they instead thought, oh, let's give away, let's give away, let's give away, let's give free shit and free this and free that. But unfortunately, a lot of the income that was coming to the country was going to Spain, it was going to China, and it was going to a lot of foreign investors. And a lot of foreign investors would come to Venezuela and they would quickly move out because Maduro was trying to tax them like crazy and was even trying to force them to literally lower their fucking like prices. And Hugo Chavez did the same thing. I kid you not, the reason why you walk into markets in Venezuela and shelves look like bunk beds is because of these fucking politicians and these governors that said, hey, we want beef, chicken, steak, and all these produce and legumes and veggies to be 10 cents, 25 cents, 30 cents, 40 cents a platter. At first glance, it seems nice because it helps the poor people out, but what happens is this. Because everybody is forced to literally cap the pricing of their groceries, they can't hire people. They can't hire truck drivers. They can't hire cashiers. They can't hire deli workers because they cannot afford to make a profit and then hire people in the community. And if they can't hire people in the community, guess what? That means no jobs. So the cycle continues. So Maduro told tech stores, grocery stores, markets, furniture stores, keep your prices low as fuck, or else you're going to be taxed and shut down. And a lot of them end up getting shut down anyways because they can't afford to maintain a profit and then also keep the lights on. So that's the reality of Venezuela. It's so bad in Venezuela where their currency is fucked up because of that. Because all these presidents and governors said, hey, you know, keep these prices cheap. These governors and politicians get a percentage out of that. They get to pocket some money and pocket the difference. You know what I mean? Like when you go to a store and tax and sales tax is included, the government gets their percentage. So all these politicians get to live lavish and live nice. And the people get, you know, cheap and affordable groceries for a while until these companies have to move the fuck out and say, hey, I'm not making a profit in Venezuela. I'm not opening no more grocery stores in here. I'm shutting all them down and moving next door to Colombia, or I'm moving to Europe or America. And guess what? That means there's a low amount of grocery stores, and then eventually when shit gets out of hand, the few grocery stores that stayed around, they can literally skyrocket their prices if they feel like it, and they can sell their stuff in the black market. They sell their stuff out of trucks. They sell their stuff on the streets, because when you go to a market, there's no toilet paper on the shelves. There's no hot sauce on the shelf. There's no ketchup. There's no tampons. There's no pads. There's no female hygiene product. There's no shampoo. It's being sold on the street from people who looted and stole, or it's being sold on the street by people who secretly run grocery stores but sell it on the street because they know people will buy it for more, because most grocery stores have tampons out of stock. And I don't want to get too sidetracked, but you know what's interesting? Now Venezuela is going through dollarization, which is a system where now Venezuela is dependent on the US dollar, which means instead of actually being able to use and leverage the currency from the actual country, people have to literally pay in US dollars or euros just to pay for stuff. You go to a cheeseburger restaurant that's owned by a small business owner, you go to a place that sells weaves and bundles and nails or nail polish, they're going to say, sorry, we don't take Venezuela currency, we only take dollars. And they want dollars because the Venezuelan currency is worthless because they kept printing bricks and bricks of it for decades and just giving it out to people.
Everywhere, prices are being calculated in dollars, but it's complicated.
I'm negotiating to see if they can give me one avocado for $1. All right, so we have a deal because there's no change. Gracias.
Dollarization is a term that describes the US dollar as a substitute for a country's local currency when it becomes almost worthless, as is the case in Venezuela. But salaries and pensions, equivalent to around $5, are still paid in bolívares, which buy very little. So for a great many Venezuelans, like Doña Elisa, it means more famine than feast.
I'm a senior citizen. I've never handled dollars, and so I'm in the clouds when they quote me prices in foreign currency. In December, somebody gave me $1, and I said, oh my, how exciting. $1, what can I buy with it? 2 pieces of bread, that's all.
$1 for one avocado is insane. People on the streets are negotiating $1, $2 for random organic fruits. That is insane for a third world country like Venezuela, where there's no job opportunities and the average person is only making $75 to $85 a month. If that's on the low end. If you're lucky, you make $150 to $200 a month in Venezuela. And it's a shame because it's a country with so much resources. It's a country that used to be tourist friendly and has a diverse landscape. This all started because these presidents and these governors said, lower the prices of everything or else we're shutting all your businesses down. Those businesses left. They went to Europe, they went to the USA, or they went to Colombia. They weren't having it. So that's the reality of Venezuela, and that always, makes me disappointed because it makes you realize how good you actually have it in your country. So now we got this earthquake that happened, and of course Colombia got struck with an earthquake as well, and Colombia handled their entire earthquake crisis beautifully because Colombia has a little bit of order in their entire country because of tourism and because of a lot of foreign investors and much more. But Venezuela, not really. Most people don't even want to go anywhere near Venezuela because of the political instability and a lot of the bad rep it gets with robberies, criminal activity, and scams. And what's disappointing is during this entire earthquake, there were a lot of police officers and military people and volunteers that were stealing from the rubble. Yes, buildings and businesses literally collapsed. And what did a lot of military and police officers do? They looted buildings. They would say, sorry, we're blocking this area. We're, gonna block this area with our cars. And then they would just take a whole bunch of groceries. They would take a whole bunch of money in safes. They would take a whole bunch of valuables and they would keep it for themselves and bring it back home to their families. And it got so bad that some of the locals were going off. I'm talking about some of them were legit confronting the police officers and the military people and recording them and putting it all over social media and showing that this is how Venezuela's leaders and military people handle a crisis. So unfortunately, a lot of media outlets in America aren't reporting this. Venezuelan news is not reporting this. Spanish news is not reporting this. But Brazilian media is reporting a big portion of this, and so are a lot of independent journalists on Instagram.
Quem deveria proteger a população acabou sendo acusado de aproveitar o momento de sofrimento. 4 policiais foram flagrados retirando dinheiro dos escombros de uma residência destruída. Em um dos registros, um dos agentes aparece carregando um saco com uma grande quantidade de dólares.
So basically in this video you can see that there's a military professional, a police officer, just literally taking things, looting a business that had a bunch of dollars, and a lot of the locals saw him and they start filming him. So they start just ripping up all the dollars, saying, fuck you, you're a pussy ass bitch, you're taking all our fucking resources and you're keeping it for yourself, and a bunch more. So this is just a taste of the kind of things they're going through in Venezuela. So yeah, Venezuelans, they might seem ungrateful in those videos where they're going off and they're snapping on people and they're just like, hey, don't send us these, tortillas, don't send us this, don't send us that, why y'all sending this, send us stuff that's new, at least wash it.
Estas cosas no deberían de venir a donación. Vestidos como de fiesta, sandalias en tacones.
They sound ungrateful because, a piece of them is pissed. They're angry. Their back is against the wall. And low-key, yeah, they do sound ungrateful as fuck. So let me just break this down. There's over 6,000 people who are dead because of the earthquake. 6,000 people is a lot of damn people. That's like 3-4 high schools. There's over 6,000 people who are dead, and there's over 400 people that are missing. There's 400 people missing because they're all buried under rubble. Venezuela hasn't sent enough humanitarian people and enough military people who are willing to go out their way to actually look for people underneath all this destruction and underneath all this rubble. So there's people who are on their way to school, who are on their way to work, people who are literally working in businesses, innocent children buried under rubble, and some parents don't even know where the fuck their kids, their family, or their friends are. The world just doesn't give a fuck and isn't paying attention. And what's so disappointing about this is that the diaspora in America, they're doing everything they can. Hell, some of them are even going out of their way to keep and sneak a lot of immigrants from Venezuela in the fucking country. Because again, like, there's a lot of Venezuelans. When you go to Nashville, Tennessee, sweetheart, them Venezuelans are rolling deep. When you go to Houston, Venezuelans are rolling deep. When you go to fucking Omaha, Nebraska, they're deep. Like, even growing up, I ain't never seen Venezuelans everywhere like that. Venezuelans have always been known to be in Florida, New York City, and that's about it.
What I tell y'all, they got them Venezuelan people over here taking over apartment complexes in Aurora, Colorado. I told y'all, they bringing these people over here, they keeping them fed, they getting them fat, they getting all the food stamps, they getting all the little monies, they getting all that shit just so they can be over here to combat us. They ain't for us, baby. They are gonna be against us. And I keep telling people that. I was saying to people, oh, you crazy, you tripping. Nope. I done told y'all. I told y'all, them people, they don't care about America. They was paid to come over here.
Playing with him. Where all the thugs at? Y'all stop playing with him. He over there doing his shit.
On top of that, there's times where sometimes you'll go into Venezuela's subway, hop on the bus, and guess what? There's literally no one to drive the train. Sometimes people have to go out of their way to literally want to work for free just so they can conduct the train so people can go to work. So it's so bad to the point where sometimes police officers and law enforcement are out here working for free, not getting paid anything, but having to patrol areas and keep the streets safe. And a lot of times, there's no law and order. A lot of times you go to Venezuela, a lot of times the only people that have law and order and safety are the very ultra wealthy who live in these communities where they can afford to personally hire and pay these fucking police officers. Some of us don't realize how good we have it, because when you see these people struggling, these people having nothing to the point where they're going on the streets screaming and yelling, it becomes a very ugly situation where you don't have a choice but to fucking rebel and go crazy. It makes you see this kind of stuff and wonder to yourself, damn, I can't even get mad at them for trying to commit crimes and doing drug trafficking or trying to sneak into the US or sneak into other countries to get the fuck out of here, because look how the fuck they're living over here. Their own politicians don't even really give a fuck. All their politicians get paid, all their politicians got a bag, all their politicians make sure they get a nice check every week to take care of their family. And keep this in mind, this is a country rich in oil, literally some of the biggest oil reserves in the world. Like, this is literally a country with mad oil reserves, just as big as damn near half the fucking Middle East. That's how big their oil reserves are. And a lot of that oil doesn't get distributed amongst the people. And right now, America is getting trillions and billions of fucking oil barrels swam into the fucking country. It's swimming into the country like it's fucking like nothing. Like, there's tons of oil from Venezuela coming to America, so that way they can build better infrastructure, better oil, better technology, better oil infrastructure, better freeways. That's what oil is useful for. Without oil, we don't have roads. Without oil, we don't have medicine. Without oil, we don't have medication that we can easily get off the shelves. Venezuela literally has it on their fucking mainland, and they don't even benefit off of it. And yet, when they have an earthquake, people send them dirty panties. I mean, hell, I can't get mad at them for being upset. At least people donated. One thing I'll say is this is, okay, yeah, I get it. Don't send somebody your fucking dirty panties. But a lot of times Venezuelans are pissed off because they're seeing these things and they're just like, no, send this, send that. Look, people should just send whatever the fuck they can send. I think about other countries, for example, the Philippines. So back in 2013, the Philippines had a whole fucked up typhoon that completely destroyed a big portion of a major city in the Philippines. And people in the Philippines, what do? A lot of them made $1 out of 15 cents when they got a lot of their donations. Some of those donations they got were probably just as bad as the ones that Venezuela got. Like, a lot of it was old shit, used shit, like shit that isn't even practical at all. And guess what people in the Philippines did back in 2013? when they dealt that typhoon and they got those shitty donations, some of them used the donations to turn it into curtains. Some of them turned it into rope. Some of them tried to use it to try to, like, you know, turn it into rags and towels. Some of them literally washed it and tried to literally re-sew shit. Some of them went as far as trying to actually resell shit and sell the fabrics of anything that was still useful and tangible that could be made into actual clothes, you know, so that way they could recycle it. And a lot of them actually went out of their way to use a lot of that money they made from selling a lot of the fucked up donations and all the messed up clothes instead of throwing it in the fucking trash. A lot of them utilized it and said, okay, you know what, we're gonna actually use this and actually try to like make money off of it so that way we can invest into the actual country. Like, there's countries like Mexico when people are getting donations from all over the world. You know, people in impoverished areas in Mexico, they'll use some of the donations that they get and they'll turn it into things like rope. They'll turn it into things like jackets. They'll literally get a tailorer and they'll find someone to actually fix it and fill it in and make it look better. So sometimes there's a lot you can do with just a little bit that you have. But that's all for this entire video. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Give your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. Let me know what you guys think about this whole breakdown. And yeah, that's that. Choice out this bitch. Never mind, I find someone like you. I wish nothing but the best of you too. Don't forget me and me. I forgive everything. I forgot that was